Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to be talking to Romany, Diva of Magic, and we're going to find out all about how Romany built her character and the award she's won and the book she's written. So let's start with, how did you first get into magic?
Well, I wanted to be a dancer. I really wanted to be a dancer, but I wasn't allowed. I got sent to university and I ended up getting a job for British Telecom, and I was selling data connections in way back before we all knew about data connections.
Wow.
I know. I don't know anything about data connections. But I started dancing salsa in the night time. And I won the 1992 British Salsa Championships because I was obsessed. I loved dancing. And so we started doing shows up and down the Thames. Anyway, it all got too stressful. I was dancing all night. I needed to be thin for the salsa. So I had a personal trainer and lots of exercise, and I had a really stressful job. So at the age of 26, I went, poof, and I basically had a breakdown. And I went back to my family. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't use the telephone, let alone sell one. I couldn't leave the house. I had agoraphobia. And all I knew when I sat in my room, like for months, I was like, I didn't want a good job. I didn't want to sell telephones. I wanted to be on the stage. It's all I ever wanted. So I thought, and I'd always done what everyone told me, I thought, not anymore. I'm going to be on the stage no matter what or how long it takes. No matter whether I earn any money or not, I'm going to do that. So I said to my parents, I'm going to be a juggler.
Wow.
And they were like, huh? And I was quite angry, and I was like, I'm going to be a juggler. And that was the year I went to a magic class with Michael Dow from Men in Coats. And the moment I went to my first magic class, I was like, I want to be a magician. Wow. And that was it. But it took a long time.
But that's actually quite similar to me, because I started my magic career in my late 20s too.
Did you?
Yeah. I was a bartender. I was kind of like a juggler in a sense. I used to do flair bartending.
Right.
So it's a similar sort of background. Wow. Where was that? Was that in England?
I was in London.
Okay.
But because you're younger than me, so when I started magic, I had Tarbell and rice and no internet, right?
Yeah.
And, but I had big ideas of this magic act that I don't think even David Copperfield could do. It was all like pulling crystals out of the air and elevation and that. And so I spent years, about 3 years, trying to make this up. And it was impossible because it wasn't the classics of magic. And it was only when I went to McBride's mystery school, where I met a whole bunch of people like Eugene Berger and Bob Neal, that they taught me about the classics of magic. And I learned about rings and silks and coins and things that actually work.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to make a bit of progress.
Okay. So when you started, what kind of magic did you start with?
So I went to FISM.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know anything. So the first thing I did was go to FISM. And I didn't have any money because I was a street performer. I was a juggler street performer,
Right.
married to a street performer, no money. So I wrote to FISM in Dresden and said, because I could speak languages, I said, if I translate, will you give me a free FISM? And they wrote back and said, yes. And so I drove down to Dresden and I parked my car right outside the convention centre and I slept in my car.
Wow.
Because I didn't have any money. And I was one of the people with a blue waistcoat, and it was my job to stand at the door and not let anyone in.
Okay.
And I was meant to stand outside the door when the lecture started, but I didn't, because the moment I opened the door, I ran inside, ripped off the blue waistcoat and sat in the front seat. And then I went to all the lectures of John Carney, Eugene Berger, everybody, Cellini. And I was like,
That's amazing. So that's when you got bitten by the magic
that was
bug.
when I did. And that year, I sat in the stage competitions.
Okay.
Because it was really hot that year and the theatre was cool, and also I was interested in stage magic. And I watched the whole week of like hundreds of stage competitions. And you can see some were terrible and some were good. And I sort of went, oh, okay, I can see what they're trying to do. What's terrible, what's good. And then of course I watched the gala shows and all the people that were really good. And there was a guy there called Johnny Lond that the older magicians will know. He was from Sweden and he had a brilliant act with clocks. Comedy act, but just brilliant. And my job as a girl with a blue waistcoat was to go and get him and take him to the stage. And he had a twinkle in his eye, and I was 26. And so we went dancing, and I said to him, I want an act as good as yours. And he said, haven't you seen the competition? Don't you know how difficult it is? I said, yeah, but you've done it. And he went, yeah. And he's now passed. But he was a great inspiration. And all I wanted was to have a stage act. So all my life, from the age of 26 to when I got one, I would do affirmations. I would say, I'm a world star of magic, I'm a world star of magic, all the time. all the time.
And now you are one.
Well, debatable,
No,
but
yeah,
I've got an act that I work with, and my dreams come true because I love the theatre, and I do my act on a stage in a theatre. So good or bad, I do that. So my dream has come true.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. That's so good.
Yeah.
Do you know, a lot of my viewers are hobbyists or getting into magic, or just started magic a few years ago, and a lot of the questions I get is character. They're like, how do I find my character? How do I come up with this? Do you have any advice on that? Because I know you are so different from you personally, and then as your stage character.
Yeah.
Any tips and advice on that?
So I spent more time on my character than I did on magic, on technical magic. And Jeffrey Durham was a great teacher, and he would say, look in the mirror and be really honest about what you see. He said when he looks in the mirror, he looks like a home counties bank manager. Right, so look in the mirror and see what you see, and then maybe extrapolate that. So if you're a bit nerdy, become more nerdy. Or if you're a bit wordy, become more. Take whatever you are and exaggerate it more. That's one way. But I didn't do that because personally, I'm a person that likes no makeup, very simple clothes, and gardening and dogs. I'm not a diva. I'm really not.
So different, but I
right?
love it. I love
and
it.
the diva character, gardening, she has 6 gardeners. She doesn't do any exercise. She would have liposuction. Maybe dogs, but there'd have to be like a beautiful poodle or something. She just came. How she speaks just came. So when I'm on stage, she speaks. And I feel like I'm her roadie. I mean, I'm her roadie, and I sort of, mend the props, break the, whatever, drive to the gig, get it all out. And then once I put my lashes on and the costume, then it's almost like she becomes, she is a character that I become, and I just don't know where she came from. If you haven't got one of those, then take a good look at yourself and find out something that makes you different to everyone else.
Yeah.
For example, you're always so well dressed, but not only well dressed, of course he is, but he's got a gold, whatever that is, a lizard around his neck, and you can't see his shoes, but you can. Hold on, wait. Look at these shoes. Look at these. So Brendan is a person who's very flamboyant. He's always well groomed and everything else, and so his character on stage is more like that. He's more like, I've got this ball, and it's going to do that, and it's going to do that, and I'm magical, and this is why I wear magical clothes. Right, so that's who he is, and he's taken it further. So take whatever you are. If you're a scruffy, individual that is really nerdy, do that. Or,
Paul Regan. That's a friend.
Yeah, my good friend Paul Regan. Yeah,
He's so, because he was talking about
being
scruffy, and his whole magic act is he just messes up everything, right. And he messes his hair before he goes on stage and stuff. So yeah.
Who am I thinking of? Green, Leonard Green. Leonard Green. So he was a doctor. He's got great big hands. He's a car genius. And when you watch him, you think everything's gone wrong. It's all messy, and then magic.
I know. Yeah.
Because that's what he is.
Yeah, everyone knows Leonard Green actually.
Right.
A lot of he's a a legend in magic. So another thing that I know of you is you've written a lot of books. And when did you get into writing?
Right. Well, only one. Only written one book.
Okay, sorry.
So I've always written. I did an English degree. I like writing, and I started writing mainly for the Magic Circle magazine years ago, and then I started writing for Vanish for Paul Romany, and I wrote stories. True stories of my gigs and everything else, and I've had loads of gigs that have gone wrong. Most of my gigs have gone wrong, and so I'd write the true stories. I remember writing back to Paul and saying, you don't want me to write for you, no one's interested in my stories. And he wrote back and said, actually, the feedback I'm getting is that people like your stories because you're being truthful. Lots of magicians go, I earned this much and I did this gig, and I'm like, well, I didn't get paid. And and then I forgot my props, and then I set my head on fire, and I didn't set my head on fire, but many things.
Yeah.
So then I was having a thing with a life coach, and he said, "What would you really like to do?" And I said, "I'd really like to write all day long." And then it just took off. So one day, also let me tell your viewers about Big Magic. You have to read Big Magic. Right? I thought it was a magic book. It's not. It's by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's about really bringing in your magic, your gift to the world, and not having fear about whether it's good enough, whether you're too fat, whether you're too old, whether you're too young, whether you haven't got any money. Just do it, because the world needs the gift that you have. And when I read that, I was like, okay. So I wrote it, and I wasn't going to tell in it. I basically had an eating disorder. not a secret anymore because I've told the world about it, but it was a secret. And it was a real struggle. The reason I had it was because I wanted to be thin to be on stage, and I wasn't naturally thin. And it never went away, and it basically made my life a misery. And so I wasn't going to tell anyone. No one knew, because why would you tell anyone? And I thought, I'm 50 now. If I can help the coming generation of mainly young women...
Hang on, you're 50?
52, yeah. This is very good of Brendan to act very surprised.
Comment below if you think she...
Well,
she
you know
doesn't
what?
look 50 at all.
I'm really, really happy to be 52 because the opposite of growing older is being dead. So it's great growing older. And believe me, if you're young, it gets more and more fun growing older. Although everything starts to hurt, it's more and more fun because also you sort of go, and you stop caring. Anyway, I know that many, many young people, especially young women, are suffering with eating disorders, and I can't bear it. It's one thing that I hate it, so that other people are suffering with this. So I thought if I can tell them my story, that I ended up having a happy, really happy life, full of joy, despite never getting rid of it, then I can help them and I can help their parents. So that's what I decided. But I was terrified, because I thought when the book comes out, no one's going to book me, everyone's going to hate me, and the opposite was true. Right. Everybody was so kind because they went, oh, she's suffering like we all do. She's an alcoholic, but she's a whatever. We've all got our issues. Someone's got depression, someone's got an addiction. We're human, and we all struggle. And so in the book, I teach, hopefully everyone, how to find their joy, because finding people's joy is the way out of everything. Everything. I think it's the answer to everything. And i.e. you have to find the thing that makes you happy. And so what happened to me was that I wrote the book, I told everybody, I mean, it's not just about that, it's about my whole journey in magic and everything else and crazy things that happened. But because I think I told people my truth, I set myself free. This sounds a bit woo-woo, but bear with me. I now am completely healthy. Like, I don't have it anymore. And I think this whole thing of being really honest and doing it from an altruistic method, because I wanted to help people, sets you free. And I don't know, who knows, but I'm really healthy and happy now. So, but I really am conscious of other generations, and I just want to just help through this book. And 3,000 people have read it so far. I've had hundreds of letters back from parents and from other women suffering with the same thing, saying it's really helped. So
that's amazing.
So this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm promoting it so hard. Because it's not for me. I make £2 a book. It's, if it can help people, I'm doing it.
I like the fact that you're so honest about everything, and it just shows with this interview at least. So a lot of us are struggling these days with the whole situation that we're in. I haven't worked in so long, and just getting my clothes back on was like, oh my god, it's so awkward. But what are your thoughts on magic in the next coming years?
I know, and we've all had such a time to think about it. So I didn't do Zoom shows because I kept thinking it was coming back, and then it didn't, and then it was too late. And likewise, I was very pleased my costume fitted. So, I've had a lot of time to think about it. We don't know what this new world is going to be. We hope it will be great. We hope we can do theatres. We just don't know. So thinking about that, I think my bottom line is, A, I'm going to work really hard to keep a happy mind. Because whatever happens, whether we can work or not, whether we can earn money or not, whether, you get ill or not, what's the most important thing? To keep a happy mind, to be happy.
Yes.
To keep a happy mind. So I think that's your fundamental thing. And if you know that, when you know that loads of people are struggling, then I think we as magicians have to help people keep a happy mind. So we have to remind them that we are the magicians of our own lives. It's really important. What we think about, we create. How we go about our days, what we listen to, what we choose to listen to, what we choose to talk about, how we choose to talk about things, we create. So this year I got myself in a right old muddle by listening to the news too much, and I started getting a real feeling here of fear, and it's like that does no good at all. You've got to get out into the open, into nature, you've got to get sunlight, you've got to do exercise, you've got to eat well, you've got to laugh with your friends, you've got to keep your immune system high. That's what life's about. Stop listening to the news, stop listening to the doomsayers, don't let the fear in, and keep a happy life. Because that's what our life's about.
That is the best advice I've heard on this situation. So Thank you. And if people want to get your book, where can they get in touch with you?
Well, if you're in the UK, you can go straight to me, Romany.MagicTV, and it's everywhere on my website.
Okay.
If you're not, or you want to go Amazon, it's on Amazon. And Audible. I spent a year recording it. Yeah. And if you're in Australia or New Zealand, like down under, the cheapest way to get it and free delivery is Book Depository. So, and it's called Spun into Gold: The Secret Life of a Female Magician.
Oh wow, that's so cool. I'm going to leave all your links of your social media and everything you sent to me in the description below this video. So definitely go and check out Romany, follow her journey on what she's doing. She is definitely one of my favorites, and I met you, was it at the Magic Circle, I think the first time, years ago, and it's just so wonderful to see you perform on stage, and what a great act. I'm going to add, you've probably seen clips already of Romany performing in this interview, but definitely go and check her out because she's got so much more to offer.
I don't know. I just want to keep telling everyone, keep a happy mind.
Yes. Oh, that's such good advice, honestly. Well, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. You're probably already subscribed to the channel, and if you've just joined in and found this video on YouTube somewhere, well, welcome to the channel. Have a wonderful time wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.